Good day and welcome to the African News broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra. Asante Top Stories. Ethiopia releases 6 UN staff. AU and US Envoys Return to push for Ethiopian talks. This and more stories coming up after the break. You're welcome back from the break to a very first story. The UN says 6 of its staff had been released in Ethiopia, leaving 5 in detention. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said 1 dependent was also being detained. The UN employees were among 16 arrested earlier this month. On Thursday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the report of the detention of UN personnel do not have anything to do with the organization that they are working for. If the police do not have evidence for their arrest, these people will be released from detention. There have been widespread arrests in the country following the declaration of a state of emergency. Authorities have recently denied targeting any specific people during arrest, saying those arrested are contravening emergency laws. The conflict in the north of the country is ongoing as federal government forces clash over with the forces. There has been international calls for the government and the forces to end the conflict that has worsened the humanitarian crisis. There has been international calls for the government and its allies to end the conflict that has worsened the humanitarian crisis in the region. Still in Ethiopia, special envoy from the African Union and the US have returned to Ethiopia in a bid to revive talks for a ceasefire and find ways to end the year-long conflict. Both the US Jeffrey Feltman and Olusegun Obasanjo, the AU Special Representative, arrived in the country on Thursday. Mr. Feltman met Foreign Minister Demeke Dekonen, who said the government had allowed 8 trucks into Tigray and humanitarian flights into towns in neighboring Amhara region. During the meeting, Mr. Demeke said humanitarian aid flights were allowed into Kombolcha and Lalibela, adding that 369 aid trucks were allowed to enter Tigray, according to a tweet by the government communication service. Ethiopia's government spokesman Dina Mufti told journalists that Mr. Obasanjo was shuttling between the various forces, the AFP news agency reported. The same thing holds true for Mr. Feltman. Mr. Dina was quoted by saying, "Since last November, the government and forces have been engaged in a war that started in Tigray and spread into neighboring Amhara and Afar region. The conflict has killed thousands of people and forced millions from their homes, and hundreds of thousands others are facing famine conditions." Away from Ethiopia, we move to Sudan, and Sudanese authorities have restored the internet nearly a month since it was suspended after the military deposed the joint military-civil transitional government. All telecommunications companies had their internet service restored on Thursday. A court has ordered the country's 3 main telecoms companies to restore the internet on the 9th of November, but the outage persisted. Internet Monitor, NetBlocks have also confirmed the restoration of services. Confirmed internet partially restored in #Sudan on the 25th day of post-coup blackout. Real-time metrics show significant rise in cellular connectivity from 4:30 p.m. local time. It is unclear if services will be retained or for how long, it said on its Twitter account. Deadly anti-coup protests have been taking place in the capital, Khartoum, and other parts of Sudan since General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan seized power on 25th of October. More than 30 people have reportedly been killed in the demonstrations. Activists and opposition groups have managed to draw attention to the protests on social media despite the restrictions. The official Facebook account of the Ministry of Information, which is aligned to deposed Prime Minister Abdalla Hamdok, has also been vocal against the military rules. Our final story is in Somalia, and the UN says more than 2 million people in Somalia are facing severe food and water shortages because of a rapid worsening drought. Water sources are drying up in what's the fourth consecutive season of poor rainfall. About 100,000 people have fled their homes in search for food, water, and pasture for their livestock. The UN said it expected nearly 8 million people to be without enough food next year. There have been more than 30 years of continuous conflict in Somalia, which is also regularly hit by drought, floods, and locust swarms. This is Radio The Curtains on African News. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sandra Asante. You should have a great day.